So, who is Jerome Powell? You may be wondering this yourself. You have heard of JPOW. You've seen tremendous memes on the internet about this one figure in the Federal Reserve, right? It's the US central bank. And he's probably the most influential person in the whole entire financial world. Why? Well, every time JPOW says we're going to increase interest rates, that is exactly what happens, and interest rates are increased and the market always reacts. So let me tell you a little story before I get into the memes and before I get into who exactly Jerome Powell is. Basically, we did have the start of a large pandemic, a few years back. And this is the US 500. It is the largest index in the USA. So it's the index of the top 500 companies, mostly based on tech, but it doesn't really matter. Top 500 companies in the United States, and that is what I use to track the stock market. Now, when the pandemic struck, prices fell and everybody just went into panic and everybody sold off their stuff and everybody started saving money, and basically the economy was in chaos. What happened then? Well, Jerome Powell, along with other central banks around the world, decided to start decreasing interest rates to incentivize people to start spending their money rather than keeping it stored inside of a bank. And what happened then? Well, by incentivizing people, first of all, to spend money, it stimulates economic growth and inflation. Second of all, by pumping money or printing money into the economy, which was, the main point of this meme right here, except once the pandemic started, the money was flowing outwards, right? And now it's flowing back inwards. And these are all monetary policies, right? So they used an inflationary monetary policy to be able to drive economic growth while still suffering from production consequences as a result of the pandemic. So what happened then? Well, we had a huge spike in prices, and also we have this huge inflation problem on us right now. So why did the inflation problem occur? Well, it's very simple. Production couldn't follow the amount of money that's being printed into the economy. When you have less production than the amount of money that's going in there, well, then you're going to have a value of money that is decreasing over time because there's no production to back it up. And what happened? We had a huge inflation problem, and then after that, we did reach a top at which the Federal Reserve said, okay, we're going to stop printing money right now as a whole, and we're going to announce that in the next few years, we're going to start tapering. So tapering means they're going to stop, basically this was a terminology used last year, that means that they're going to stop hiking stop inflating money, pumping money into the economy, and instead they're going to start hiking interest rates. What happens when interest rates are hiked? Well, it's a pretty simple story, right? When interest rates are larger, you're more incentivized to keep your money inside of a bank. So if you had an interest rate of around 1%, you would probably not care about it and not keep your money inside of the bank because 1% is not enough for you. But, if it was 3%, you would probably keep your money in the bank. And this is not about you and me. We all have our own investment methods, our own preferred ways to invest. But on a large scale, as soon as there is a slight increase in these interest rates, it has a huge impact on the market, and it is all called monetary policy. So hiking rates is a deflationary monetary policy. Why? Because it causes more people to save. And when saving is larger than spending in the economy, right, I'll just denote it as SP, then we have a stop in inflation and a gradual decrease in the price level. Now, this also has a negative effect on economic growth, but as everything in economics, everything is like a scale, so you got to be careful about that. On the other hand, when spending is larger than saving in the economy, then we have an inflationary monetary policy, and people are spending more than they're saving, which means there's more value going around, more money being pumped everywhere, which is good for the economy, but on the other hand, can cause inflation. So what is happening right now? Well, over the past few months, over the past year even, prices have been dropping down quite rapidly, and I do expect them to keep dropping down more because they're still hiking interest rates. Now, at some point, when Powell, right, or JPOW says, okay, let's stop hiking interest rates at this point, then what's going to happen is the market is going to start pricing it in, and it's going to stabilize. So this could happen, in a few weeks, it could happen in a few months. Nobody really knows, but what could happen is the market just goes down, and there's some moment when Powell says we're going to stop hiking rates, and what's going to happen is we're going to create how do you call it, not correction, but a reversal pattern, and basically we're going to start moving in another bullish fashion at some point. So that is the bull run that we're all waiting for, explained from an economics standpoint. Now, a little bit more about JPOW himself. He took office as Fed chair on February 5th, 2018, after being nominated for the post by Donald Trump, right? He's quite accomplished, right? He has his run until 2028, so he's going to be there for a long, long time, which is why we are going to be blessed with a lot more Powell memes in the future. And he does have an extensive background in both economics and financing, so he is a person who is influential in that world. And there is one piece of advice that I can give you so you can track Powell's movements right as they happen. One of them is TweetDeck, right? And all of the sources that I did give you before. So there's a video right here that I made before about tips and tricks on how to get into the crypto world. And in general, TweetDeck is good for following news events that are happening around the world. And you have forexfactory.com, which is the #1 news website that you can use to track Powell's movement. So as you can see, today you have Government Macklem speaking from Canada, but here and there you see Powell speaking. So it's a Powell press conference, it's FOMC, it's a lot of these different things where Powell is holding a live speech on TV, and you're able to see exactly what he says right here on Forex Factory before, a lot of people see it on television or whatever. So it's a good source. TweetDeck, also a good source. You got to keep in touch with all of this news because you can get a potential direction as to where the market is going to go in the future. Now, Powell, he's going to stay until 2028. He graduated from Princeton University. He is, very accomplished, but we don't really care about that. All we care about right now is a few Powell memes right now, like when he was saying around May that inflation is just temporary or transitory, which the whole internet started making fun of because inflation is a big, big, big problem. When you have all supply chains, all production and everything completely cut for a few years, it causes huge shocks to the whole economy, shocks that we're still not feeling at this point and could come very, very soon, right? Because when we're dropping down inflation by rate hikes, we're also dropping down economic growth, which means theoretically there should be less money for everyone, which should mean that we're entering some sort of a recessionary period. However, I have sort of a positive outlook on it, and I believe, in the next 6 months to a year, well, it doesn't really matter when and what I believe, but at some point, this is what's going to happen. There's going to be too many people out there who are saving money, right? So now it's being stimulated, but what's going to happen is too many people are going to start saving money because they fear another recession, another pandemic, another war, and all of this different stuff. And they're going to save too much money. And when that happens, economic growth is rapidly going to decline at some point, at which point Powell is going to be forced to stop hiking rates and start printing money into the economy once again. And at that point, it raises questions about what's going to happen with the US dollar. Is it going to convert into a sort of a digital currency at some point in the future? Is the dollar going to collapse? Well, most probably not. It may collapse, but appear in some other different form. But, I may be talking too much right now. This is probably a story for another video. So I hope you enjoyed this little intro into the market, into Jerome Powell, and what you should be following if you want to, keep in touch with inflation, rate hikes, the market, and basically everything that's going on. Is it going to move up? Is it going to move down? The #1 source for information for me personally is JPOW and exactly what this guy says over time. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed another video. Subscribe down below, hit the like button, and I will see you all in the next one. Wait. Just a little disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, and you should do your own due diligence before investing into anything in the crypto world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.